A man in his infancy will chase outcomes, while a man that is maturing will submit to process. The difference is one remains in a stage where he's used to the validation of others. He feels that if he abandoned where he's at right now, he won't have anything. This right here is called survival mode. I remember growing up and seeing so many men that seemed to be where I wanted to be. But I didn't realize at that time they were not happy. They were just preventing something that could have gave them more. And we see the same thing here today. What is it? Again, the man who refuses to submit to process lives in survival mode. Why? Because he's afraid of losing his temporary status of being cool. And you see a lot of men who get older. And even though they are older, they still always talk about the past. They always talk about who they were in their previous life. A lot of times when they gangbang, when they had this name. Not telling it to give a testimony, not talking about how they came out of something, but to hold on to that status that they no longer have. But they feel like they are right there at the time when it was said. And this is why so many men are held back. Why? Because they're still living on faulty promises, a covenant that failed them, a covenant that promised them things that they were not even able to do. And this is why you hear certain things where a man, he got arrested, or a young man, he got arrested and he got locked up. He couldn't hold to the rules that the culture told him he was supposed to live by. The streets told him he was supposed to live by because he realized that he wanted freedom. So, you know what he does? He breaks all the rules. He tells, or whatever that is, only to come home and get caught up in the same lifestyle. Why? Because again, he's afraid to submit to process. The apostle tells us in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, he says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Because he understood that the things that he was partially seeing was because he wouldn't submit to process. But as he submitted to process, he realized that he will grow because he's seen beyond where he was at. What is survival mode? Survival mode is a state where a person becomes primarily focused on getting through the day rather than growing, building, or thriving. When someone is in survival mode, their decisions are driven by fear, pressure, pain, uncertainty, or lack rather than purpose and vision. All because they're afraid of what they will miss. Hey, if I'm not here at the occasion, if I'm not at the party, if I'm not around, I'm going to miss something. Why? Because it's in their mind, it's in their head. Remember, as a man thinketh, so is he. And finally, what are some of the signs of survival mode? Constant stress, anxiety, difficulty planning for the future, living hustle to hustle mentality, and difficulty trusting others. I remember growing up and being in a group of a whole bunch of young men, and nobody never really trusted one another. Why is that? Because we always felt that if this person right here knows this, they'll see my weak points. If this person right here knows that, this can happen. Because there is no honor among thieves. And this isn't only in the underworld, but even when you look at companies where you have men working together, those who are in survival mode, they feel like they can't have freedom, they can't have any peace. And it keeps them going day after day, trying to just maintain where they are at, instead of getting with God and allowing God to show them what they have on the inside. And for some of you, it may be simple as your testimony, being able to leave a legacy that will set many young men free versus leaving a generational curse that they have to walk in.